Are there any moments that really stand out where you say, this is a soul that I remember and wonder what happened?
Yeah.
Tell me one.
No, I don't want to. I'll cry. There are so many. There's a kid. My first trip, I met a kid at a transit center who had a gunshot wound, and he was. Somehow they decided that he wasn't an emergency because there were so few hospital facilities that he was just put back in the camp, and he was just like he was about, oh my God, 10 or 11.
This is Africa.
This is Africa, yeah, and. In Sierra Leone, and he just I can't explain it. He was a healthy kid about a year before that. He'd gotten shot, and then he started to lose the ability to move his legs, and so he was moving them with his hands. And but it was just that everybody would come running to see what they could do, and everybody was talking about this new kid that had arrived in the transit center and what to do, and I don't want to talk about it. And I asked what would have happened to him, or what's happened to him, or what could be done, and found out that they said he was probably just going to die because of the reality of how many people were in that situation. And it was my first experience, and I thought, well, we should fly him out of here. We should do something. We should get him hospital care, and you know, realizing that this is one kid in thousands, and you can't do that. Really, it doesn't work that way. So he would die, and he was alone, and he was really scared, and he was just a kid.
You believe? Did you hear any more about him?
No, he died.
When you hear something like that, when you see something like that, do you feel very small against the enormity of the problem?
Yeah, maybe, but no, at the same time, I think it makes you realize the importance of every single individual. And so, yes, it is an enormous problem, but it is true when they say if one person lives, how much each individual counts. So
and if no one takes it on.
If it's 20 million people and one kid lives or one family makes it, then, you know, every individual does count. So that's what that makes me think. That makes me think that there's one kid like him maybe I'll meet, and because I had that experience, maybe that next kid, I'll know what to do and I'll be prepared, or I'll put that much more effort into helping out that next kid because that other kid haunts me so much.
Unique as celebrity spokespeople go, in that you weren't sought out by the UN and by other people saying, come be our spokesperson. You took it upon yourself to learn about this, and then you contacted them. How did that come about?
I traveled to Cambodia a few years ago for a film, and when I went there, I realized that
Tomb Raider film,
for Tomb Raider,
yeah, very popular film.
Yeah, but I went there and was shocked. I hadn't learned about the history of that country. I didn't know that there were countries that had landmines like that. What a refugee was, how many people had been displaced there. So I suddenly realized that there must be so much more that I didn't know. And UNHCR today works in over 120 countries. That's 120 countries. That's
a phenomenal number.
That's the amount of people crossing borders and the amount of countries where there is war or fear of persecution or human rights. I mean, that's the world we live in. There's a lot of things going on that. So I wanted to learn, and once I started to learn, I wanted to see and get out into the field because that was the best way I thought I could understand. So I called Washington. I think they thought I was insane.
Do they believe? Let me ask you something. Do people believe it's you? You call up. I mean, you're a big name, and you call up and say, "I want to go find out more about refugees."
I was very, very nervous to call because these are people in Washington, people in humanitarian aid. These are people that dedicate their lives to global issues or just their neighbor next door, but to helping. That's what they do with their life.
And yet they welcomed you in.
I'm an actor, so I called. I was nervous.
And yet they welcomed you in, and in fairly short order, you found yourself visiting Sierra Leone.
Yeah, within 3 weeks.
So many places, Namibia, all the places you've been. You traveled many places essentially by yourself, with maybe somebody from the UN with you. You were in circumstances where you slept. You still do to this day. You sleep where the other people sleep. You do what they do. You pay for it yourself.
Of course, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I'd be ashamed to feel I'd have certain needs for myself with everybody else going without it. I can't imagine.
I mean, you have pledged personally millions of your own dollars for this.
Yeah.
That's something that...
It makes me happy. It's such an easy choice. I have more than enough to live and give to my son and my family, and I have... It was what you can do with what you could buy a car with in the States, the amount of schools you can build and people you can feed. It's such an easy decision, and it feels wonderful.